Hey man,
How are you?
good. Out of one webinar as a participant, right into another live stream as a host.
I know, just jump, jump, jump. That's kind of the way it goes these days, isn't it? That's what I
It
feel.
is.
But it's all good. It's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
We're here. We're alive. It's raining like crazy at both of our houses, so hopefully
Yep.
we'll be able to stay on board. And man, I'm excited about this because every time we get to talk about AI and how things go in that, I'm always just chomping at the bit. So I love it. The other thing is, if you're on, hey, give us a little love, if you would. That would be fantastic. Thumbs up, heart, all those good kind of things always help. So let's jump in because actually, what we were just talking about is something about AI and personalizing customer experience.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad we're taking. We're focused on the customer experience side of it when we're talking about AI because most of the time the conversations about AI end up talking about the benefits of how much time it saves, how it helps you automate workflows and things like that are like more like quality or and quantity sort of things like the minutes saved in this particular task or the quality of the writing and that stuff. But to really talk about it from a customer experience standpoint, from a qualitative, like it actually, because I think that's the biggest concern that people have is like, I don't want to put AI on my website because, and I don't want my customers interacting with an AI bot because bots are dumb and they're usually stupid responses and frustrating customers, and it's just going to generate this horrible customer experience. But in our experience in testing it and using it with clients, it's actually proving to not be that way at all. So this is going to be a fun conversation.
Well, and I think the real impetus of it is the training. What is the bot training on? And I think a lot of bots rely on people scripting and putting the scripts in and trying to get all the scripts right, and people are all different. I'm going to ask a different question than you're going to ask, and we may be looking at the same thing. It's just we just look at things differently. And so
Yeah.
normally I'm describing it and you're telling them exactly what it is because you've already researched it, and I just got the problem. I mean, that's really the truth. So I'm like, the thingy on that thing on the left hand side of the what you would call it. I mean, that's me, talking to somebody, and you're like, oh, that's a thingamajig. That's what that is. Yeah.
Well, and that was the way that AI bots or bots in general used to work, was based on scripts, and some of them still do, and you can coach with scripts and things like that. But ultimately, if a customer gets off script, in other words, if they don't ask the anticipated next question in the script that the AI has, then it's essentially like you've just put a newbie CSR first day on the job, out there to fend for themselves and try to figure out how to answer questions it doesn't know anything about, and it's not in the script, right? So it can be challenging, and that's where the frustration comes. But the exact same frustration comes when they're talking to a human being CSR who's first day on the job and all they've got to work off of is a script. I dare you to tell me that you haven't had a conversation with AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, any of them where that experience has happened to you, because it's
Yeah.
ubiquitous.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
like
totally agree.
what I love about AI is though, yeah, that what I love about AI though now is that it's actually learned from a much larger body of information and can anticipate helping a customer where they are rather than trying to shoehorn that customer into their script. And so
Yeah.
the experiences are actually much better. Like right out of the gate, we're hearing people tell us, Jenny, of course, is our AI sales agent that we put on client websites. And the experience I'm hearing is that like day one, it was answering questions from customers at like a level of experience that CSRs who have been with them for 3 years have only just really started mastering the answers to those kinds of questions. So that's impressive to me, and it means that your customers are getting a really good qualified experience.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this a little bit. Let's talk about those customer interactions and how an AI bot actually handles those leads and handles those interactions. And before you start, hey, Linda, thanks for being on. Linda Roydhouse gave us a big heart, so we appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. So lead handling and interactions. Talk a little bit about that, Carter.
Well, everybody knows that when someone's looking for the right information on a website or making a phone call or whatever, they want it now, right? Instant. There is no, patience that people have, especially with home service businesses. If there's someone else on the list, in terms of like, going down the list in Google, if company number one doesn't answer their phone the first time that they call, they're moving on to the next one. And unless that next one just has horrible reviews or something else about it is, off-putting, they're just going to move on until they get somebody to solve their problem. And the first problem they have is they need someone to answer the dang phone. So, that's it. Instant response. So what I love about, a support agent chatbot on your website that's powered by AI, they come to your website looking for a phone number, but now they're being engaged at a level that they can just sort of intuitively tell, oh, well, this seems like, the same kinds of questions that they would be asking me if I was on a phone call. I'm just going to do this here, right? So you're saving yourself from having to have the phone call, to have to staff, and make sure that everybody's picking up on the first or second ring. Now the AI is fielding those requests, answering those questions, moving people toward the call to action, which is book an appointment. And it's just happening there on the website. And so that's like the first thing in terms of handling the lead is instant response. Second thing is being able to answer the queries, answer the questions that you normally get at a level that is truly helpful and not just, I don't know. Would you like to talk to somebody in the office about that? But like literally being able to say, yes, here's the answer, and answering their questions. I think that's absolutely paramount in the experience with AI handling interactions and
So the other thing I want to bring up, and I don't know if you remember this, but we worked with a plumber in California years ago, and the person that answered the phone was a relative of his, and he had him and another guy. And every single time we were there, and every single time somebody called, she said, oh, well, I got to get in touch with the guy, and see if he can do that and when, because he handles his own schedule. And she would hang up, and it was like, really? I mean, you can't answer those questions. And so to me, having a bot would be perfect for somebody like that, a small company that doesn't have a lot of people, doesn't have somebody that can answer the phone 24/7. It doesn't, is not able to staff that, doesn't have the financial, part of it, does not have, somebody who could learn all of that stuff. But literally having a bot that could say, hey, yes, let me help you. Let's take care of that, to where they've got all the information. And then it's just a matter of getting you scheduled, and the bot can do that in a way that's really intuitive as well, or sending
getting
that
better
to,
all the time.
yeah, or sending that to somebody else. So I think this is something when people say, oh, we really need a real human being. I've seen real human beings fail in a lot of ways answering the phone. I think there are times if I don't feel good, I fail answering the phone. I mean, we're all subject to emotion, the way we feel. Are we physically good? I mean, all those things fall into it. And as much as I try to be friendly, if my back is killing me, it's really difficult for me to be real friendly for very long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're just some certain things like that. So, to have a way to get your information out there, and to have an entity that's feelings never get hurt. They don't care if the customer is mad or not. I mean, there's all these things. To me, man, the bot is like a really good between me and my customer.
I had an old boy tell me, I just don't like that new technology stuff. I don't want, robots talking to my people, talking to my customers, and making it some kind of, unfeeling, unemotional experience. And later on, he was talking about how the, people in his office, sometimes when they're upset with him, they'll take it out on the customer and answer the phone in a really brusque or rude way. And so, he's like training them and telling them, no, you just gotta be like a robot, answer the phone the same way every single time. I was like, wait a minute. You're telling your people to act like a robot, and yet you don't want a robot talking to your customers.
Exactly.
Explain to me the logic of that.
I know, it's crazy. So, but I agree, they're getting better and better and better all the time, and it's very impressive what we're seeing. Yeah, for the customer, and that's really the thing, because businesses are all like, well, what's this going to do for me? What's this going to do for me? And my answer is, when this does for you, when it's going to make your customers really happy. And when your customers are happy and pre-sold on what you do, it's going to benefit you. I mean, that's the bottom line. You always get benefited when you make your customers happy, because they're the ones that actually pay your paychecks. People don't think about that sometimes.
Most of the time the feedback is, oh man, I love interacting with the chat on your website, because it was available when I was at 2 a.m. I just got off a shift and, came in and I needed to get this scheduled, but I didn't want to wait until the morning because I had another full day. And so I just got it done when I could, and the bot was available for me to get that scheduled. So, things like that are just really big perks, and it raises customer satisfaction, which means ultimately that when a real technician is standing in front of them and presenting them with an estimate for what it's going to cost to fix their problem, they're much less likely to be pushing back on price or wondering if they chose the right company and deciding they want to get a second opinion. They're just going to say, yep, okay, you're the company to do this. I already trust you, so let's get this done.
Let's get it done. Yeah. Well, talk a little bit about the lead handling. How the bots actually handle those leads that come in from customers after you take a sip of water.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm really impressed with the one that we use, Jenny, because I've had several experiences where I've looked in the logs and I see where a customer came in, started chatting and asking questions, and Jenny was able to answer those questions successfully. All the time, moving them toward, would you like to go ahead and get, sweep and inspection? In this case, it was for a chimney company. Would you like to get a sweep and inspection done for, we can go ahead and get that scheduled. And the person kept saying maybe later. They just weren't ready yet. And so then it looks like they left the site. I don't know, in the logs it jumps from like March 14th down to March 28th, or something like 2 weeks later. But the bot recognized the person, recognized the visitor to the site, and picked right up where they left off and said, hi, person, by name, because the person had shared the name with the bot earlier in the first interaction, and said, the last time we spoke, you expressed interest in wanting to go ahead and get a sweep and inspection done, but it doesn't look like we got that scheduled. Did you perhaps call the office, or are you back because you'd like to go ahead and get that done today? So picked right up where they left off, and the person continued the conversation and said, no, I'm ready to get that scheduled. Great, let's go ahead and do that now, and then went through the process. So that ability over 2 weeks to remember who someone is and pick right up where they left off. Tell me a single CSR in an office who remembers, oh yeah, I think I talked to you a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? I mean, sometimes, if it's a really memorable customer, but most of the time the person in the office is moving so quickly that they don't recall conversations that didn't end in an appointment. If it's just writing down a name on a scrap of paper, then you're just in a pile with a bunch of other people that may or may not end up being customers. But, the bot remembered, and the bot had all the information from that customer from the first time and said, great, let's go ahead and get you scheduled. I already have your name and phone number. What's a good date for you? And specified to the customer that this date isn't set in stone. It's just a date that is preferable to you. And then we'll confirm that date when the office calls you back, confirm the appointment. We'll make sure that we confirm that date or choose another one that works just as well for you. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it just handled it so well. I was like, man, I would hire and pay a human being who could operate at this level. I'd pay him $30 an hour. They're that good.
Yeah.
It just was impressive to me.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. Every time I see it, I'm just like, man, this is really, really awesome. And the real time customer support, I think, is, and we've been talking about this. That's really the thing that you're getting in this whole thing, because when they hit, there's no lag. There's no, oh well, let me do this or let me do that. The bot, because it's trained in a way that it absorbs all this information. And when something comes up that it doesn't know how to handle, tell me what it does. What does it do? Like,
Yeah, when it doesn't.
what if I'm angry? I'm just going to give you a scenario. What if I'm angry and I call and I want to talk to the office?
Yeah.
What would the tell me? Call the number on the website. Call. I mean, tell me how it would handle that.
Yeah, so there's several modes that a good, well-designed chatbot should be able to operate in, right? It's first and foremost the mode that it's in when somebody comes to the page is sales agent. I mean, it is there to do a job to get that booked, appointment. But the moment that the customer says, no, I don't need to get scheduled. You guys were out 2 weeks ago, and let me tell you, I'm upset and I need to talk to somebody because this job didn't go right. The moment that sales agent realizes, okay, this isn't a sales call. I mean, I'm no longer working toward trying to book an appointment with this person. This is now something where they need customer support. So my job is to pass them to the office and make sure that they get the attention that they need. So that can happen in several ways. Sometimes, if the person asks for a phone number, the bot is going to supply the phone number. If the person just says, I need someone to call me back, then the bot is going to take name and phone number from that person and pass that message to the office in an email so that the office gets it and can make that phone call back. So, we've tested that as well, and it works pretty well. As like a fallback position, if the person has other things that are not sales related, then that bot knows how to handle those things pretty well.
Awesome. That's great. Hey, Jessica, Alyssa, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate y'all tuning in and listening to this great conversation. So let's talk about personalization in the online shopping journey. I think this is another thing that's just fascinating. And, this is more e-commerce driven. There's some other things, but believe it or not, it could be in a home service business. I mean, there are some things that the bot can do to move somebody into a buying.
Yeah. When they're shopping in a home service business, they're looking to know, like, is this the right company for me to pick to do the work, right? So they're shopping companies, they're not shopping products necessarily. And so the goal of the AI in selling that person and assisting them with a more personalized approach, rather than the customer just having to scan through pages and look for a page that describes a service that may or may not be what they need, because they don't even know enough about the problem they have to know what the solution even is called, and they're digging around and trying to find that out. And, that can be very impersonal, right? And some people prefer that. That's fine. That's why you have a website with lots of pages, let the person do the research. But others are like, no, I just need an answer. And so when the bot pops up and says, how can I help you today? And me as a customer who doesn't know what my problem is can just say, there's a water spot above my chimney, and last night it actually dripped on, the dog laying by the fireplace. I don't know what's going on. Something that you deal with, right? I mean, it's a sincere question. Like, help me understand. Am I even in the right spot, or talking to a company that deals with this stuff? And for the bot to be able to say, oh, it sounds like that might be a chimney leak. That's a very common thing. In fact, we just helped another customer in the area with a very similar problem. And then it pulls up a 5-star review and shows you that this customer described a chimney leak problem that was fixed by this company. And then the next thing it shows them is this gallery of images of the entire process of, like, seeing the water spot when they first were called to the location, and then they got up on the roof and they checked the flashing. The problem wasn't there, and so they climbed up to the top and they saw a cracked crown and pieces of the crown even missing, and so they knew that was where the water was getting in. So they fixed that problem, and now everything's good. I mean, to be able to show a gallery of images that somebody can just swipe through, and right there in the middle of talking to a bot who is personalizing the experience for that customer while they're trying to make a decision about whether this company can solve their problem. You just closed a new customer, let me tell you. And you just got the job because, you answered their question faster than if they had, picked up the phone to try to call.
Well, it's interesting because I know the webinar that you and I were just on, they showed, and this is the Jenny bot, which is what we have. They showed some case studies of multiple companies. And what was interesting to me is, they would have X amount of people coming in, X amount of people, talk to the bot, X amount of leads. And then they would, from the leads that came in, it was 25%. I mean, 25% of
converted to a point.
funnel. You have more people coming in, and as you go down the funnel, it gets less and less and less. But at the bottom of the funnel, 25% of the leads on and they were all different businesses. There was home service businesses, there was a medical business, there was like an engraving business. Yeah, and it's just different types of businesses that they showed. I think they did 4 of them. But what struck me is every single one of them was between like 24 and 27% of those leads converting at the end. So, I mean, that alone shows you something of how that goes. And if you want to see how personalization, online shopping, that journey is, all you got to do is go to Amazon. They have the best personalized shopping journey of anybody I've ever seen. The difference in the bots in Amazon is you got to go through there, put your, you got to know what you're looking for. You got to, you're searching for that. With the bot, you can go in and say, there's a leak, just like you said over here. Are you the right company? And they can say, oh yeah, we're the right company. So, there's some differences in that, but yeah, it's just brilliant the way this thing works. I love it. So, oh man, what we just saw on the social media part just blew me away. I mean, what a bot can do that it would take a human being a long time to do. And here's the thing about AI and social media. Social media is actually kind of grabbing onto AI. They don't necessarily, want the not personalized deal, but these are all personalized posts because they're getting it from real stories, from real people in a real business. So it's not like it's, putting up a flag and say, happy, Flag Day or, what those kind of posts. That's not what they're talking about. But it can do, and from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carter, but from what my understanding is it can take a piece of content and literally take that content and create 10 different social media platforms worth of that content, send it out for review. And once it's been reviewed and okay, it can post them all at the same time.
Yeah. Or skip the review step altogether. And just once you trust the AI to write good content, just have it start firing directly out to all of your socials. Yeah, no, creating the content is great. And from the algorithm standpoint, the more specific the content is, the more likely it is that Facebook or one of the social media channels is going to show your content to somebody who has been looking at similar things. And so the more specific, the less generic is maybe even a better way of saying it, that your content is, the better chance it has in succeeding in the online world. Because, I mean, we've all had the experience and the feeling of creating content in a void, where you're just creating another content piece for social media, for Facebook, you're throwing it up there, and then you're, 2 days later discouraged because only 3 people saw it. and you're like, why did I just spend an hour putting that together if only two or three people saw it? So, it can be very frustrating.
Or you're creating it because somebody said, oh, you need to post 5 times a week. And so now
Right.
you're just slaving over trying to get it up, get it. Yeah. And so you just throw stuff up that you can.
And it's generic because you're moving
Yeah.
so quickly and you don't have time to really do the specific kinds of posts. And so what I
Yeah.
love about AI is how specific it can get. I mean, just by providing, we have an app with Jenny that technicians in the field can use to take pictures of the work that they're doing, and then make audio notes about the work that they're doing. And then Jenny takes the images and studies the images. It takes the audio notes and transcribes those. And in fact, we even have one guy who is using it, and he's like their lead tech. He's the most talented guy in the business, and by far the right person to be, taking pictures and making audio notes. Problem is that he speaks much better Spanish than he does English. And so, it was a problem because, or at least they thought it was going to be a problem. And we just told him, no, Jenny, just make your audio notes in Spanish, and Jenny will convert that into English and write the posts and everything for all your social media in English. It doesn't matter. And they're like, you're kidding. It's like, no, it's just use it that way. And I mean, that's fine. Tell him if he's not comfortable doing it in English, do it in Spanish. That's fine. And so as a result, he's much more comfortable with using the app. But anyway, my point is, in the field, when you're taking specific pictures of jobs that you've done and you're making audio notes about it, the kind of specific non-general content that you're creating is now going to blow the freaking socks off of anything else that home services businesses are used to posting. And it's the kind of stories that catch people's attention and catch people's eye. And so the chances of it being seen by more people, the chances of the social media algorithms taking that content and sharing it further than, the more generic throw out posts that you're just trying to fill a quota becomes, pretty huge. And so that's another exciting part of how AI is actually humanizing the experiences for people on social media. Yes, AI is doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as creating the content, but you're telling it specifics that it needs to know to write compelling content on your behalf. And let me tell you, the content that we're seeing that Jenny writes is, again, I would hire 10 writers just like Jenny any day of the week to write the kind of content that, that's being written. And we have great writers, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have great writers. The problem is we don't get the information, but they're out there and real quickly can just talk and get the information. So they're not having to go, jump through hoops and try to remember where they were and what they did and because they can do it right there and then it just comes back. I mean, that's just brilliant. It really is. So AI-driven recommendations and services. So here's I'm gonna do a shameless plug. I think Jenny, for any type of business, whether it's a home service business, whether it's a retail business, whether it's a restaurant, I don't care what it is. I think Jenny will work for you. I have seen some stuff on different websites and it has blown me away. Legal websites, insurance websites. I mean, I've just seen a lot of this stuff and I've seen the case studies and yeah, it will work. Real estate's another one. It's just brilliant. I mean, the way that this was designed and whatever is brilliant. However, there are a lot of people want to do things themselves. So, I always say you need to play with AI if you're uncomfortable with everything. So get ChatGPT. There's Claude is out there. Gemini is out there. All these you can play with them for nothing. If you want to upscale, $20 a month and get a little bit more in depth and detailed with one, you can do that. If you're on Canva's got an AI. What else, Carter? What do you play? I know you play with Midjourney and Discord.
Yeah, sure, Midjourney, but I mean, Customer-matic is another tool that we offer and use that has a brilliant AI that's a part of it as well. And it's getting to the point where, when your CRM has an AI in it that's running in the background, then you can just ask your AI, hey, I need to do a special and send it out, for this thing, but it's not going to apply to everybody on my list. So please look through my customer list and only send it to the people that it makes sense to send this to based on their previous, service history with us, right? And if all that information is in your CRM, now it's pulling the list. It's slicing and dicing to understand who this offer is appropriate for, maybe even personalizing the offer based on a few factors in their service record, and presenting them with something that truly is an offer they'll want to snap up. That's not just some generic thing that, well, let's just throw it out to the whole list. And if some of them are interested, they'll respond. If people aren't interested, they'll delete the email and we'll just move on. Now you're just targeting the ones and bothering the ones who actually are going to respond. That's the sort of brilliance that I'm looking to AI to really be able to provide. And we're starting to see more and more of that, in places that is really going to drive the services and the offers that you can make to customers just through the analyzing that it can be capable of.
Yeah, the other thing I want to say, the AI can do all kinds of stuff in all these platforms. I mean, Jenny, Customer-matic, it can go ask for reviews. The Jenny has a way that if you're on site, you can do video. And if they don't know what to say, the bot will actually tell them what they can say because it knows about the job that y'all just did. So it can go through that. I mean, it's got a script there. It can write the scripts. It can do, it's just brilliant the way that it works. And pretty soon you're going to be able to do audio with it. It's going to be able to do callbacks on it. I mean, you're going to be able to do things that will help your business like you have never thought it could be. I mean, seriously. And so I highly recommend, if you haven't tried it, you don't understand it, or you don't know about it, get in touch with us, get a demo with Carter, and let him show you what this stuff can do, because it is fascinating and it's cool. I'm just saying, it's fascinating and cool. Yeah. It's very efficient in bookings and scheduling. You can, if you go on a calendar base, then you can hook it up to your calendars. If you're in insurance, law, or anything that you have people that have to book on your calendar, per se, it can do all of that. On the scheduling side, when you're home service business and in the field, that's a little bit different. So I'm going to let you talk about that because I know you deal with that a lot, Carter.
Well, I mean, we integrate or we can integrate with tools that have APIs that allow for data integrations. And so Jenny can be your front end scheduling, piece and help move that person into scheduling, and then send them directly to an online booking page where they can choose their date and time and go through the booking process. Or if they're just a lead and they haven't converted into an actual appointment yet, then we can just insert them directly into your CRM or your field management software, such as Service Titan, and put it in there for you to be able to call and follow up with that person. So those are the sorts of integrations that we're seeing and around scheduling. There's a lot of ways to handle it. And I'll just speak real quickly. I know we're getting over time here, but the fear I know people have, or the concern that people have, is that my booking is too complex. I've got multiple trucks, and our service area is really large, and we run trucks all over town. But we try to group appointments so that one truck can just stay in one side of town all day, and not have to zip across and waste gas and time and everything. Just traveling. Totally get that. And there's some ways that we've been able to handle that with customers, to give them the best of both worlds, to allow them to, retain that control over their booking, the regimen that they use to decide how to book, but at the same time giving customers the ability to choose for themselves and never even have to call the office. So some good solutions there. I definitely recommend that we talk if that's a concern of yours, because I can show you different ways that we can handle that. Yeah,
It's great. I keep saying brilliant because I don't know of another word. It's just fantastic. I mean, I wish I'd had this thing when I was in like a mortgage broker. I can't tell you how many calls I missed, because I was busy. Because people think when you're in that kind of a business that you have all these people around you that answer your phone and do all that. And it's like, no, you're a solo guy. You work on commission under a person, under a company. So it's really different. So yeah, it's great. So what happens when you got to analyze customer feedback, and what happens if for two things? If our clients' customers have a problem, analyzing that feedback, and then when our clients have feedback, because you're the one that deals with the feedback stuff. That's why I'm kind of tossing these to you, because
Yeah, that's what I love about AI. The process, in conventional coding and programming, when you would program based on like a script, and the robot would follow the script and do whatever, then when you would find cases where situations weren't being handled well, or the customer was, we didn't anticipate where they were headed with the question, and suddenly they got off script, and the bot was helpless at that point. The process of changing the programming in order to make it better was tedious. It took days, weeks, sometimes months of improving, and it was a very iterative process that was slow and painful. And what I love about AI is that AI has the ability to simply learn on the fly without any additional human input sometimes, to be able to get better at responding and anticipating customers' questions. So it feeds on the feedback that it gets from the experiences that it's provided to customers. It analyzes those conversations and anticipates for the next time how to predict, where the questions might head, or how to respond or answer those questions more intelligently. And so, that is just that kind of self-improvement is the sort of self-improvement that you would hope for from a good employee, that would analyze what just happened and figure out how to make it better for next time. And that's what we're seeing with AI and the capabilities of it now. And there are definitely times where we need to go in and intervene, where we take the feedback that one of our customers has given us and said, I had one just the other day. Someone said, well, the way the bot is saying, like available times, it's giving them brackets, morning, afternoon, or evening. Well, we don't really do evening. I mean, I understand evening is like, for some people is, like 5 o'clock, but we really try to shut down, we don't take any appointments after 4. I was like, oh, okay. So we need to make sure that the bot understands what your normal business working hours are and when the last appointment of the day takes place, so that if someone requests an appointment at 5, you can tell them, I'm sorry, we don't, the bot can say, I'm sorry, we don't have anything that late. We could, I could possibly ask for 4 o'clock though. Would that be acceptable? And work with them, right? So we're training that bot to, I'm putting in just a couple of lines and things that I need to do in order to coach it a little bit, script it a little bit better, prompt it really is the word, and make it better. So that continuous improvement, as our customers help us understand how the bot is doing, as the bot improves based on the customer experience that it's giving to customers, this thing just gets better and better. And it's the sort of retained knowledge. I mean, it hurts, right? When you invest, 5 years of training CSR in your business, and then that CSR, is leaving because her husband got transferred into a new job in another city, and suddenly she doesn't have to work anymore because it came with a big pay bump and whatever. And so this person with 5 years of institutional knowledge about your business and experience in handling things the way you like to handle things just left. And what do? How do you replace that, right? How much time and energy are you going to spend getting the next person in the seat? What I love about AI is, as long as you continue, paying for it, I'll just be frank. I mean, as long as you continue paying for the service, that retained knowledge is still there. Those improvements continue constantly, and you've got somebody who will never leave. So it's pretty powerful just in that way too.
No, I think it's just awesome. Okay, we're way over about 10 minutes, so I'm gonna wrap it up. So Spark Live is also released as a podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podvine, or your favorite player. And next week, we're going to talk about content marketing, crafting stories that sell. And we're specifically going to talk about crafting stories that sell and how the AI actually does that. That's
and
what I want to
you're going to be on your own next week unless you're bringing somebody else in.
I will be on my own next week, and I can handle this one.
Good. Yeah, no, I know you can for sure. But yeah, I just didn't know if you had thoughts about bringing someone else in for that one or not.
Oh, I might bring Emily or Alyssa or somebody, depending on if they've got time. Everybody right now is hopping, so including me and you. So it's all good. It's all good. We do have one comment. Linda said she can't wait. So I love that, Linda. Can't wait. All right, we'll see everybody. Thanks so much. We really appreciate all you that come every week. It's been great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.